with Raw, I got to be honest with you. I cheated and read the recap because of the Netflix, the streaming business. I hate it. And besides for the Hogan tribute, and I understand Jey Uso and Heyman had a lovely interview session. I'm sure it was very good with Heyman. He's a master. And I understand that Gunther and Punk had a nice long segment where they spoke to each other, and they're two of the best promos in the business. But I didn't feel the need. And again, with you can't fast forward through the commercials for some length of time after the fact, apparently on Netflix. And I got stuck after the Hogan tribute on 3 minutes of baby wipe commercials or whatever. So I didn't feel the need for those two segments to try to wade through Sheamus versus Grayson Waller, Wild and Cruz against JD and Finn, a girls 8-man tag, a 6-person tag with girls and guys. And that was what the middle of the show was for almost 3 hours. And so I concentrated on the main event, Jey Uso and Bronson Reed, because that's where they finally gave you a reason to watch the show. Was I crazy, Brian?
No.
Well, I would appreciate it a more full-throated thing. Like, how in the world, Jim, could you possibly think that you might be mentally impaired?
How can you review it if you don't watch it? How could you say you'd get rid of them from your roster if you don't watch? You hate girls.
I can't review it because if I don't watch it, that's why I'm not reviewing it, because I didn't watch it. But Jey Uso and Bronson Reed, they took a step forward in something that we've been obviously calling for some time and also predicting they were going to do from the way that things were looking. They're elevating Heyman's young guys in Seth Rollins' absence, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They're elevating both of them, but they're elevating Braun as the guy, and they're elevating Reed as the main henchman, just with subtle positioning, but that's exactly what they should be doing. You don't want to get both these guys over for the exact same position in the same way, because then you don't get either. But clearly, Breaker is the star of the thing. And they had a nice match. As I said, there was an element of, the thing is, they got to fill a lot of time on this show, so nobody's in a hurry. And then they got to get out of the match. Jey makes a comeback, hits a dive on Reed on the floor, and Braun Breaker comes down the aisle and hits him with a spear. Disqualification. Boom. Because it's the angle. That's what they're concentrating on. And they started, and it didn't start promising when they got a little weak heat on Uso, but then Roman's music hits. And Roman, here's the thing. If they're going to play music for a guy to come out, he can't walk out if his fucking, what's Jay relation, his cousin, whatever is, he's down. Now, the heels are supposed to just stop and stand there slack-jawed. Well, Braun Breaker said, fuck that. I'm still kicking this fucking guy. And Roman Reigns is just walking. This is what I'm saying. All these angles need to be treated with more urgency. But nevertheless, Roman makes a comeback, clears the ring, helps Jey up. They nail the heels off the apron. They go to run around the ring to double spear the heels, and they get speared instead. And then they just destroyed the baby faces. Braun speared Uso and Reed splashed him, and then Braun clotheslined Roman over the desk and tossed him back in the ring, and they splashed Roman, and Braun trash talked him. And then, as they had kicked him out of the ring, Braun ran around and speared both of the baby faces through the barricade at the same time.
How about that? That's a hell of a statement.
Yes. And one of those guys is Roman Reigns, who is a pretty big fucking deal. And then Reed stole Roman's tennis shoes, which was a nice touch. And, but the point is they need to elevate the young guys, and they're doing that. And these are the right guys to do it. And Heyman being with them gives them more credibility. The only thing I didn't like about this, because they're doing exactly what they should, but it's so modern wrestling that nobody's trying to stop them. And there's no sense of urgency. They do the thing they're going to do back and forth, and then the heels just take their time. It's not like they're getting away with a crime, or they're, do you see what I'm saying? It's so sports entertainment. It distracts me that they want their fans to accept it as, it's always been this way, which I guess now they do. It's been so long. But goddamn, somebody would be trying to help these people. And there's ways around that where you can still do all this shit. We all always did. They just must think it's a distraction, when to me it's a distraction that tells me, well, nobody gives a shit, or this is supposed to happen. Am I just the odd duck, Brian?
I don't know. You may be the odd duck in terms of it not happening, but these are all things that should be considered and probably should be applied. Or you can have the other attitude with, it's wrestling, it doesn't matter, who cares, we just move on. What do you think? I mean, the way they built up Braun here specifically. Braun. The other one's Bronson. I'm sorry, I got a little confused for a second in my own head here.
Well, and that's a thing they might need to address.
The way they're building him up, the way they built him up here, to any argument that Seth Rollins isn't as badly hurt and he'll cash in soon, it would almost negate some of this stuff, because I feel like they've really done a good job of finally getting him away from the pack a little bit, even though he's in the pack.
Well, yeah, again, that's the thing, is we'll find out at SummerSlam, but I don't believe that Seth Rollins is going to be showing up, turning any cartwheels and doing any cash-ins or anything. And, cheerio if they fool me. But it seems like an odd thing at this point that would just stick out somehow.
Okay. Do you think Braun Breaker will cash in?
No, I don't think they're going to do that yet. I don't know that by that, I mean, having Paul just here, Paul giving Braun Breaker the case. I don't think they'll do it yet, but I think there's more chance of that happening than there is of Seth showing up and doing it. How about that? How about them apples?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Well, and we both got apples, and we don't have to worry about those pesky kids with their lemonade stand. We can sell apples on the street corner.
Let's get away from this analogy, whatever you and this stand that you want to have out there for the kids on the street.
It's a stand-like structure. I had one when I was 9. It's a long way down there to the road, and traffic was nothing like what it is now back then. So me and a little girl that lived next door, we made 25 cents and called it a day after about 4 hours.
All right, well, it's time to take a stand, and that is to say that was Raw.
Yeah.